Well, Casey, why are you acting so surprised? We've always known that the WNBA doesn't know how to treat their stars properly. I'm not talking about the WNBA and the egregious way they treat the Great White Hope. Not only does this dump not know how to create stars, the disrespect, the outright defiance, it is coming from the president of the Indiana Felines, which means this is coming from Caitlin Clark's own team.
For weeks, those of you who have been following have been accusing the WNBA of permitting its star player to be singled out in Reddit and other media comments. After observing the pattern and the hits, you wondered when someone would finally step in. Now the solution is known, but not in the way that everyone had expected. It wasn't the whistle of a referee or an announcement from a commissioner. 48% was a cold, hard figure. As soon as Caitlin Clark's injury was made public, the cost of tickets to All-Star games fell to that level. This was more than just a Jacy Sheldon hit. It turned into a multi-million-dollar mistake that merely revealed the league's true motivations, proving what it really takes for them to successfully protect their most valuable asset. We will make all the linkages, from the blow to the injuries to the financial crises that took place behind closed doors. If you're ready for the real story, the one the league hopes vanishes, please click the like button to let us know that we're on the right track. Okay, let's get straight to the subject and cut through the clutter to understand how a single injury may cause this level of financial chaos. We need to go back to the very beginning. The date was July 15th, 2025. The game between the Indiana Fever and the Connecticut Sun has always been among the most problematic in the entire.
Honestly, I'm not going to share this whole clip because I don't know how much she wants the video of her basically crying on the court to be circulated around, but she walks down to the end of the court. You can tell that she's in pain. You can tell that there's something wrong. She goes to the, what's it called, like stanchion or whatever, the thing that holds up the basketball hoop on the other end. She hits her head on it. She is fighting back tears and she walks straight over to the bench. Now, when she goes over to the bench, she starts crying, and I've honestly never seen Caitlin Clark cry on the court except when she lost the national championship game. She keeps it together no matter what is happening.
The latent tension finally surfaced. With less than a minute left in a game that the Fever were winning, Clark made a superb backdoor pass to a teammate. As she turned to run back up the court, she made contact with Connecticut's Jacy Sheldon. The result was immediate and catastrophic, even though it would have looked to an ignorant observer to be a typical basketball move. During her 2025 season, she was already battling with several ailments when Clark Grimst reached down and grabbed her right crotch. But what happened later revealed the real story. This was more than just a frown and a little limp. The others weren't like this. Despite Clark's usual attempts to remain in the game and endure the pain, you could see it on her face. This was the final straw. She slowed to a walk, clutched her crotch again, and headed to the baseline for another possession. While the camera was still on her, she finally lost her composure and moved away from the play. This wasn't just a bad play or a lost chance. After carrying the weight of an entire league, this was a player's emotional collapse.
So, the big way they were able to neutralize Caitlin Clark, and I think it was almost an issue with Stephanie White as much as anything, is they were manhandling her. They were manhandling Caitlin Clark early in that game. Like, they had two hands on her. They were fully getting into the we are grabbing her and we don't really care. Like, that was their goal. Their goal was they were out there to maul Caitlin Clark. They had they had absolutely no intention of doing anything other than mauling Caitlin Clark. Like, they were not out there to play legit defense. They were there to maul Caitlin Clark as much as they possibly could.
Let's put this in perspective, since many of you who are watching are aware that this is more than just physical pain for an athlete like Clark. For this player, this type of vulnerability is unusual. Throughout the season, this person has been shouldered, elbowed, and hip-checked without really flinching. This same athlete had to deal with a quad injury and a different left groin problem earlier in the season. This breakdown was not the result of a single hit. Months of physical abuse, questionable officiating, and the enormous weight of representing the WNBA all contributed to it. She became aware that her body was failing her again right before her victory lap in the All-Star game. Seeing her cry like that was hard. Let's be truthful. How often do you see a top-tier athlete on the court feeling so helpless? Please let me know in the comments if you believe that this was about more than just the physical suffering. That pure, unadulterated moment of despair was a warning. And a day later, the league's finances would be rocked by an official statement based on that indication. The next day, the suspicions of every WNBA fan and league management were confirmed. Instead of being made in a team press release, the announcement was shown on national television.
We do start our show, though, with unfortunate news out of the WNBA. Caitlin Clark announced today that she will miss both the three-point contest and the WNBA All-Star Game this upcoming weekend in Indiana after re-aggravating a groin injury in that final minute of Tuesday's win over the Connecticut.
In an instant, it became official. Despite receiving a record 1.3 million fan votes, the league's biggest star was excluded from the All-Star Game. Not just any player was absent over the weekend. This was the main event. She was supposed to be the face of the entire Indiana showcase, the team captain, and the star of the three-point shootout. For those who bought tickets, she was the ticket. At this moment, the story takes a different turn. The WNBA is used to managing PR-related issues. They can make up disagreements over officiating. They may attempt to steer the story and comment on player conduct, but they were going to run across a problem that they couldn't solve. The crisis could not be disregarded. Because instead of angry tweets, the consequences were quantified in dollars and pence this time. The moment that announcement was made public, the financial dominoes began to fall. Moreover, a polished press release was not the evidence. In the open market, everyone might see it. The figure was unquestionable and amazing. This is the number that changed everything. The concrete proof that the WNBA's financial predicament escalated from a player safety issue. Within a day of Caitlin Clark's injury being made public, the average price of an All-Star Game ticket on the secondary market dropped by 48%. Let's not hold back here. A 50% overnight price crash is catastrophic in any market. This was not just a slight decrease. This vote of no confidence was given by the invisible hand of the market. Every fan who declined to pay top money, every reseller who had to make cost reductions, and everyone who felt the event wasn't worth it without its main draw. They were all conveying the same, unified message to the league administration. Without Caitlin Clark, the product's value would be reduced by half. Think about the cascading effect. There is more to that 48% than just a number on a screen. Millions of dollars could be lost to the host city's economy as a result. This is the million-dollar mistake in the thumbnail. This language is spoken by the league. This league created the Commissioner's Cup, which has a $500,000 prize pool, to promote competition. They know about money. The stakes are known to them. A 48% crash is also an inevitable warning. It's the first concrete proof of what analysts have been speculating about for months. If Clark's illnesses continue, the WNBA could lose its biggest draw and primary source of income. The financial damage is therefore obvious. The message of the market cannot be disputed. But this disaster did not happen in a vacuum. We must now look at how the league enabled it to get to this point. We have to go back in time to discover the solution, since this financial disaster was not caused by a single bad play. It was the predictable, almost inevitable outcome of a disregardful practice for which the league had received repeated warnings. Fans and experts have argued for months that Clark was being physically abused to a significantly greater extent.
Pushed around, thrown to the floor during games, and teammates are standing there just looking, not doing anything. Sophie Cunningham will do something. While other players get a microphone put in front of them, doing their media interviews, while they regurgitate the same nonsense, the same word salad that Stephanie White lies says, Sophie Cunningham will say,
Typical welcome to the league treatment. It was the intended aim. It was intentional. And the only purpose for which it was designed was mauling. That's not a word I use. That word was being used by analysts. Moreover, this was a multi-team strategy. By doing nothing, the league was quietly supporting this strategy. If you want a smoking gun, unquestionable proof that the league knew they had a problem but did nothing, we only need to look back 1 month before the All-Stars injury to the game on June 17th. During that game, Jacy Sheldon jabbed Clark in the eye. Marina Mibry of Connecticut brutally shoved Clark to the ground, sparking a major altercation. The WNBA admitted in an official statement after the game that the officials had lost control and had missed important fouls, which is the most damning part of all of this.
Think about that.
The league officially admitted that its officials couldn't control the game and protect players. They knew, in their own words, that the system had failed a full month before the same kind of hard play led to an injury that would cost them millions of dollars. Their lack of action was not due to ignorance. It was a choice. And as a result of that choice, the debate shifted from whether an accident like this will happen to when. And it was a decision that would soon compel Caitlin Clark's closest friends and family to speak up. It was more than just a meaningless press statement when the league acknowledged that they had lost control of the game. For everyone who witnessed the issue emerging, it was confirmation. However, as the physical play persisted, people's resentment started to flare up, even those in Caitlin Clark's own camp. The task of protection went to others because the league did little, and even teammates occasionally seemed reluctant to intervene.
Things come. I feel like the attention and, whatever that is, I don't want to say I get used to it, but to an extent, like you do, and you just accept that's how it's going to be. People are going to criticize you. People are going to praise you, no matter what it is. When you're playing on this level and you have this type of spotlight, whether it's me, whether it's any professional athlete that's at the top of their game, that's just how it's going to be.
That action outside the court was required due to the court's purported inaction. Her own head coach, Stephanie White, was leading the charge. After that exciting game on June 17th, she didn't hold back. She immediately pursued the league's officiating, in contrast to other head coaches. Everyone in the WNBA is improving except the referees, and bad officiating is a league-wide issue, she stated.
She didn't stop there.
She acknowledged to the reporters that she had tried to warn the refs throughout the game, saying, "I started talking to the officials in the first quarter, and we knew this was going to happen. It was clear that it would happen. So they have to be in charge of it, they have to get better." But the region that was changing wasn't the only place where people were unhappy. It harmed Clark's own family. Following the injury that finally prevented her from competing on July 15th, her brother Colin Clark shared what everyone was thinking on social media. The deleting of the tweet is almost as significant to us narrative analysts as the tweet itself. The message read, "Make no mistake, this is on the reffing." It was quickly deleted. It seems that in a moment of pure fury, he disclosed the truth from the family's perspective. The fact that it vanished suggests that some agency, the team, or maybe the league placed pressure to put an end to an uncontrollable narrative. Why did Colin Clark delete that tweet, in your opinion? Was it his choice, or was he under pressure to maintain the league's reputation? Share your theory in the space provided for comments below. When a coach publicly disagrees with the referees and a player's family feels they should be kept quiet, it lifts the curtain. One disturbing truth about the league's actual priorities is shown by all of this. This truth would eventually be exposed by the 48% price drop. Let's now make the final connection and disclose the goal that the title of this video alluded to. While Caitlin Clark was subjected to this constant physical abuse, the league remained silent for months. The prevalent story that they allowed to spread was that this was just her welcome to the pros and that she needed to get used to it. This is when the real story behind the story starts. As we enter the realm of rumors, analysts and insiders have been debating this idea for months. Rumor has it that the WNBA deliberately downplayed Clark's celebrity in order to promote league growth. The notion was that if they could show that the league was hard, tough, and physical, not just the Caitlin Clark show, everyone would gain. In this case, it might have been advantageous rather than detrimental to let her get roughed up without using a lot of profanity. It proved that the WNBA as a whole was a powerful force. But that strategy just fell apart. The price fell by 48%, proving that theory to be a fatal mistake. There was an undeniable fact. The league's entire financial status is currently directly tied to Caitlin Clark's physical health. Because the league wanted to promote itself by letting its biggest star take the hits, it didn't seem harsh. As a result, they seemed irresponsible. Additionally, it promptly led to the withdrawal of their most valuable asset from the board, which resulted in a financial disaster. When you think about the leadership of the league, you are left with one simple question.
This picture that I just came across. I'm like, what are we doing? Kathy Engelbert. She came out. It ain't been that long ago, like 2 weeks ago. Refereeing's pretty good in this league. In what league? What league allows this?
That is the real reason that emerged. It is unrelated to player safety. It is unrelated to the integrity of the game. It is related to the bottom line. The league accepted the bad press. They accepted the angry tweets and the harsh remarks. They could not withstand a 48% decline in the market. No malicious intent was present. It was a business issue, but a business decision revealed their true priority. Action is taken when revenues are at stake rather than when a player is in danger. This whole affair has put the league in a challenging position right now. The final question is what happens next? This is the new reality for the WNBA. They have received a communication worth millions of dollars from the very market they are trying to enter. The injuries, the impact, and the 48% crash weren't just a series of unfortunate events. They resulted directly from a league's choice to ignore a negative physicality trend until it showed up on their balance sheet. Their attempts to claim that the league was made up of multiple players were brutally refuted by the market. The world just saw what happens when they don't, so the league needs to show that they are protecting people instead of just making money. What are your thoughts on all of this? In the space provided for comments below, kindly express your opinions. Was the 48% financial collapse of the WNBA this season the best or the worst? Every phase of the league's response to this financial burden will be tracked. Therefore, if you want to stay up to date on news and discover the real story behind the headlines, be sure to subscribe to the channel and enable notifications. Finally, send this video to any other narrative analyst you know who should view this analysis and understand what is actually in danger.